Oops. Just wondering how to generate a new line. I start a new paragraph here. Cheat sheet. Should be working on should be working on, I feel like working more on this dev Newcomb. Supposed to be working on some PHP stuff for the website. I'm supposed to be working on Longman Nuts stuff right now. Supposed to be working on this website, but now I feel like working on this game. To decide what to do next. Product list. Now I should have done this. Actually, I don't know if I feel like working on this. Okay, I'm wasting time now. Oh yes, I wanted to read out something like a small plot line or something. And here, there is a lot of work to be done on this game still. I started working on this game actually just as a learning project, like to learn C++ years ago. So this was actually that's how it started. It started as a learning project, but there's a very big difference between actually, you know, getting some functioning code as a learning project and actually finishing a game to something that can be called version 1 is a very, very big difference. Anyway, so now, I mean, it's just slog. It's trying to I mean, I feel like it would be a shame if the game didn't get finished. So I've sort of committed myself to finishing it now. Of course, there's different definitions of finished. I mean, there's what you ideally want the thing to be in your mind, and then there's what's realistic. That's 3 different things, and then there's what's possible as finished. Like, if I had a team of people doing artists doing sprites, I could, you know, my ideal of calling this thing finished would be if the sprites were beautifully done by actual artists who, you know, were spending a lot of time on it to do it professionally. But, you know, that's the sort of ideal definition of finished, and that's not realistic because I don't have a budget. I'm not going to pay artists to do it, and I don't have enough time, you know, to spend. I only have so much free time to do myself, so one has to compromise and say, but it can't be total rubbish. Like, if you know, I could just do absolute, like the power boot sprite is horrible. You can't, that's not finished. You can't call that finished because it's just too bad, the boot sprite. So there's like what you ideally want it to be, and then there's like absolute garbage, which you can't call finished. And then there's somewhere in between, which is like realistic, and given the time and resource limitations, like I don't have a team of artists, and I only have so much spare time, a few hours a week. So it's kind of like, so, you know, I keep saying, well, I'm going to work the horrible, like that's not finished, that's a boot sprite. And I mean, I can't call that version 1 with a boot sprite looking like that, because people will say this is rubbish. But, you know, ideally I would like an artist to sit and make a really beautiful boot sprite, but that's also not going to happen. So I have to find that compromise point. There's a sweet spot somewhere in the middle, somewhere in between that, where it's realistic. You know, I want to get the game to a point that's realistic given my limited resources, very limited time. I don't have anyone else helping at the moment, except for people who help doing ports and stuff like that. So I have to basically say, okay, what can I do given I have several hours a week, and is that enough to call it version 1? You know, I have to do something on the boot sprites that I can call version 1 that isn't total garbage. So I keep using the wording like I want to call it version 1, or something that's possible as a version 1. Like, I don't want to release a thing and say this is version 1 and everyone says this is absolute junk. On the other hand, you know, it's not going to be the world's most amazing professional game either, because that's just not realistic. So, I mean, if it's absolute rubbish, I don't want to release it at all, which is actually why I abandoned the project, because partly why I abandoned it. In 2004 I abandoned it, I stopped working on it because I felt like it was just crap anyway. So I was like, I'm not going to work on it anymore because I feel like this is crap. And partly what inspired me to unabandon it again was the fact that even I abandoned it because I felt like it was crap. But while I had abandoned it, like, other people took it and did things with it and extended it and ported it to other platforms and put videos on YouTube, you know, of their ports. Like someone ported it to something illegal, I can't remember what. You know, there were a few different ports that other people did. So people took the source code and did stuff with it. And after I'd sort of washed my hands of it, which half inspired me to sort of say maybe it's worth carrying on with it, because it's like, you know, it's not amazing, but other people out there liked it enough to take the source code and to do something with it, you know, to make ports and to get it, you know, to work a little bit more on the source code. So I thought maybe if other people liked it, maybe it's not total crap, so let me try get it to a point that I'm at least happy with it. And then I can say, well, put my name on it without feeling, you know, you don't want to put your name on something you don't like. So, but that, you know, I committed myself as a goal to now finishing something that I can call version 1 around about October this year. It basically gives me like maybe 8 weekends to work on it. And in that 8 weekends, it's got to be something that can be called version 1 without people saying it's absolute rubbish. You know, maybe people will say that, I don't know. If they do, then I don't know, I'll just delete the whole thing. But, it remains to be seen. But I at least want to just get it to a point where I don't feel bad about it, where I feel like, okay, I've done something reasonable. And I think that's like really important for any project, because I mean, okay, if you don't have any resources, then you have to be realistic and say we don't have resources to produce a game at all. But you're never going to have as much resources as you want. Never. I mean, well, unless you're a billionaire and you can hire a team of, you know, unless you just happen to be a billionaire, which very few people are, you know, you're not going to have. And if I was a billionaire, I'd probably not, I don't know, I'd probably just buy a yacht and go like pool parties all day and stuff like that. Not in code, but my point is, any project, you're never going to have as much resources as you want, but you also have to be realistic enough to say we don't have enough resources to produce something, or you do have enough resources to produce something, but it's not going to be as nice as the thing you ideally want to produce. And when it comes to like a game project, you have to, I mean, set small goals, really small goals, because what you think is easy is, you know, like a game like this, to produce it from scratch. I mean, if I think back I look back at how much work I did on this thing 20 years ago when I started it, and I'm like, ridiculous, I think that's ridiculous. Like when I was a student, I must have spent, I looked at the sprites and the code, and I think, yo, how much time did I spend on it? Like, I don't know if I would start now if I was, like, I'd rather do something like, you know, especially if you're learning to program and you want a learning project, like something much more realistic. And it looks so small, you think it's a small game, but there's no such thing as a small game. If you're learning to program, there's no such thing as a small game. I see Google is shadow banning and blocking my websites from the search results. Nice. Like I made this soccer bond game, and it looks really small and simple, but it's even a small simple game like the soccer bond game is. There's a screenshot, and like that's a nice learning project, like something this size, because even this is a lot of work, and you think, okay, you know, you're gonna finish it in a few days or whatever. But it's not. It's going to take much longer than you expect. It's going to be much more difficult. And it's not just, there's technical challenges, but there's like motivational challenges, because as you go through the project, your motivation is also going to go up and down. And there's a point in any project where like your motivation is just like in the ground. You don't have motivation, and you just don't feel like working on it. And there's parts, you know, it's like running a marathon, and you just one little step at a time. You just got to like put one foot in front of the other and say, well, and just sort of keep going and force yourself to keep going. And eventually you get closer to the end. I mean, this game, it looks small, but there's, you know, the original Duke Nukem one had so much in it. So there's so much in it. Like this, what is that class diagram I was looking at yesterday? This class diagram. I mean, this is the Dave Nukem class diagram, and these are all just the game special types. Each of those things is a class of its own for a game special type, and I haven't even finished yet. There's still at least 5 more special types that need to be implemented. So it's a lot of work for a small game. So I think the next sort of project I want to do is going to be a much smaller scope. Like, I like working on things like this because, you know, you can have the basic game working, something like this. You can have the basic game working in a day, and then just, you know, make it nicer. And notice the same crate sprite is in this game and in Dave Nukem. Okay, I reused some of the graphics there. So I think once I'm finished with this, as maybe my next streaming project would be something small like this, like a puzzle game. That might be interesting for as a streaming project for people who want to learn just to start coding basic little game, you know. Definitely I won't part of something big like this again unless it can make money. So that boot sprite is like a placeholder sprite, you know, that I did 20 years ago, and it's just never, nobody's ever, I don't know if there's any artists in the room who want to pitch in and volunteer. Like anytime. That's pretty much a list of the things I would like help with on this. If there are people who want to help. Anyway, let me do some coding. I mean, somebody hopped on the GitHub and started making change requests, pull requests, and for things that actually just, I don't know if they were trying to help or what they were trying to do, but actually it was more a hindrance than a help. Anyway, here is there used to be a bug where it would pick up the keys even when it didn't have focus. I see that's not the case anymore. I think that was on a previous library. Here is current state. Genius. I don't know if that's the right term. Worlds computers. No, worlds computers. I think what we need is need to find something. Find a antivirus floppy disk. Really is appropriate in 2017. No reason you even know what that is. There is a floppy disk in the original game, so it's actually good to put a floppy disk in. But I don't think it had anything to do with the plot. And there's one in the sprite set, so that's why I want to use it. I want to turn it into part of the game. And there's a few plot twists here that I'm deliberately flipping around. Because in the original game, Duke Nukem was hired by the CIA to save the world. But the CIA have been doing things like, amassing hacking tools to spy on innocent people and control their computers and all sorts of crazy evil things. So now I'm just flipping the script. The CIA are going to be the bad guys because things have changed. Okay, let's it's on a floppy disk. Day one antivirus. How do you spell antivirus? That's a good question. Anti-dat virus, anti-virus, one word. Computer. In that's a reference, and not so subtle reference to CIA hacking tools. Okay. I call it. Yes, I think this is. I'm just sort of floating this. See, in the original game, the bad guys Dr. Proton. I think I switched my project. The so somewhere in the levels we're going to put the floppy disk in. The floppy disk is already a pickup, so actually, well, let me make a new one. Yeah, there'll be two floppy disks. Find a floppy disk with day one antivirus and need to install it on the last computer. I don't know if I'm even going to put that in because it might be for a version 2. See, at the end of good question. I guess so. You can't really. I guess it depends how much time I have. No, I think I should. Things should be complete. Should be. But what I will do is I think the bad guy should get away. So that is premise for a future version. That floppy disk is. I don't even know if it's used in any other maps. There. Oh, there's two. Right? One is marked. Oh, there's one in a box, and there's one not in a box. Neither of them are inventory. Now on a new type of one. That is an inventory box. It's going to be part of the plot line. So there's going to be a place in one of the levels called Vault 7. Okay, that's subject to change. It's just a basic rough draft. And back, I'm going to pause the stream.